from the City Council for having the political guts to go ahead and do it. 30 years ago, I was part of the Dublin Cycling Campaign, and we had a protest to get this built 30 years ago. A couple of hundred of us cycled it was rush hour Friday evening, cycled out in protest along the coast. We felt very good about ourselves until we turned around to come back in, and all the traffic coming against us had been stuck in traffic for the previous hour. We were kind of cycling along and it was slightly awkward. But this city is a stunning city. We are lucky to live in such a beautiful place with an eco-UNESCO biosphere bay, with Dublin mountains, an incredible sense of community. You all know, love Dublin. Dublin's going to be better when it's a really good cycling city. And we have started. Along the coast, we have another bit to do. We have to join to Bootistan from here. That's a real urgent priority, so you can cycle from Sutton to Sandy Cove without fear. We are doing the Royal Canal, Pascal, you know it more than anyone. It's really starting to transform, and we've started in the city centre. The traffic management changes are only beginning to take the traffic out from the quays. We need to do the same on the Dollar. We've done it as far as Rathfarnham, now we need to get to the coast. When you have that structure in place, your canals, your rivers, the seafront and the quays, then you have a core spine. And we're ready, the NTA, and congratulations to you and your team. We have the plan now to build out the rest of the city and transform Dublin. I'm absolutely convinced when we make it safe, and it's not safe today, it's positively dangerous and hostile. It's not a good place to cycle. When we make it safe, Dubliners are going to turn to their bikes in the hundreds of thousands because it's the best way to get around. It's the fastest, cleanest, quickest, cheapest, most social. It makes Dublin a wonderful city. So let's build from here. Let's not stop. Let's have the courage of conviction. It has to come from the bottom and up. You cannot force the council to do it if they don't want to do it. But I think the people of Dublin want it. So let's keep going. Let's see today as the first step in a dramatic change. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Minister. Now let's call on Minister Pascal Doyle. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm very conscious that it is a cold morning, and we have all these wonderful girls and boys from our local schools. So I'm not going to detain you for too long with a lengthy speech, particularly given how many thanks and acknowledgements that have already been offered by many of the other speakers. I just want to open up by making 3 points about where we are and leave it at that. But before I do so, I want to offer a real word of note, a real word of acknowledgement, recognition and thanks to Minister Eamon Ryan. This will probably be Oh God, Eamon, I haven't even said anything nice about you. You're already getting a round of applause. But I do want to do so because this is probably the last opportunity that I will have to be at a public event, and almost certainly a public event here in Dublin Central and in the north side of Dublin with him. And I've had the opportunity to serve with him and worked very closely with Eamon now over the last 5 years, and I knew him for many, many years before that. And I just want to acknowledge that he has been a public servant and a leader of the highest standard for Ireland. And I just want to thank you for the contribution that you've made to our country, to our environment and to our society. And to say it's been a great privilege to work with you, and to wish you and your family continued success, health and happiness in the time ahead. So with that said, all who've been involved in this have already been thanked and acknowledged. They've been done so very well by Councillor O'Murray. I just want to endorse all that he has said and add to it very quickly with, as I said, 3 points. The first one is, I want to extend a real note of thanks and acknowledgement to the local community, and in particular the local business community. This, now that it's built and delivered and opened, I think has been widely acknowledged locally as an investment that really, really upgrades and changes and improves our local environment. And I can see it in every aspect now that this project has been opened. But the truth is that it did take some time to deliver, and as it was being delivered, it did result in difficulty and at times inconvenience, particularly for local residents and in particular for the local business community. And I just want to acknowledge that, and I want to thank you for your patience and for your support as this project was being delivered. I'm absolutely convinced it will be worth it, but I know in getting to this point, and in getting to the point where I hope we'll be able to enjoy the benefits, see them being experienced broadly and widely, it has at the same time been a challenge for some. Thank you, it was worth it, but thank you for sticking with us as it was being delivered. Secondly, just to note a point that have already been said by Dublin City Council. In addition to this being a really important investment in our cycling and in our transport infrastructure, this also represents an important investment in our water infrastructure. And frequently when projects have been delivered, I sometimes hear from local residents, why have we ripped up the road? And then only 4 or 5 years later, the road is ripped up again, or more changes done in areas in which work has already happened. Not only does this project deliver improvements from a transport point of view, but in doing it, the aim has also been to improve where we are from a water perspective, and also deliver important improvements, in particular for the communities of North Strand, and help make their environment not only easier to get around, but also deal with other issues they've had to contend with for some time. And then finally, just to note and again make the case for what is happening locally. At a time in which there's so much happening in our country, not to mention our world, I think we have a growing appreciation of how important it is to improve and to invest in our local community. The local matters, the local is so powerful. I know there's so much we still need to do to invest in Dublin, to improve Dublin, to make it safer, to make it easier to get around. But I still passionately believe that Dublin is the greatest city in the world, and the north side of Dublin is the best part of the city of Dublin. I note that only got a round of applause from the majority of the audience. So for the minority, we may still have some convincing to do of you, but now that we have you over here, we're going to do it. And this kind of investment is the way in which we do it. We are here surrounded by the bay, looking out onto the sea, with wonderful communities behind us, with the mountains looking on in the distance. We have an amazing greenway and cycling infrastructure that's now available in Dublin Port. We have the same happening across our canal. We now have other parts of our city being joined up with this important investment. This is part of the change that we need to make happen, and I want to thank the Council, the NTA, our engineers who've all been involved in making this happen, and to thank again the local community for their support in getting to this point, and encourage all of us to make use of now what has been built. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. And our final speaker this morning is the CEO of the NTA, Anne Gray.